The New York Knicks are making moves as Moses Brown is back on their G League team and in their system. And meanwhile, there has been another update on Mitchell Robinson and him potentially getting traded as trade season is officially here. And we know Leon Rose likes to kick off trade season early, while the Knicks desperately need some more rebounding help for Karl-Anthony Towns, who's having an unreal season. And we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as usual. And if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. 26% of viewers are subscribed. Let's get those numbers up. Couple days left before the new year. We're trying to get to 10K. It might be a hard climb, but we're going to try to do it. Let's jump into this, though, because obviously we have a lot to talk about. Starting with the fact that Moses Brown is back with the New York Knicks. Something that I absolutely love. I'm a big fan of Moses Brown's game. I think he plays very similarly to a young Mitchell Robinson in the way that Mitch was flying around, catching lobs, blocking 19 million shots a game. That version of Mitchell Robinson was super nice to have. Now, Mitch has gotten better as time has went on. Yes, it's a bit less flashy. However, Mitch has gotten better, and we're going to talk about Mitch a lot, so we won't do it for a ton right now. But Moses Brown is like a young Mitchell Robinson. Makes some mistakes, but such a freak athlete who is very, very good at doing what he's good at, which is rebounding the ball, blocking shots, and catching lobs and scoring under the hoop. Now, this could become very important for the Knicks, as Brown has bounced around a lot of teams, but has shown some success and comfortability at times, and the Knicks are short on big men. Even with when Mitchell Robinson comes back, there's still going to be some questions with the big man situation. So Moses Brown could very quickly become an important player on the Knicks, and the Knicks brought him back to the G League because they like him. They like the way he's been playing, and since he came to the G League, I mean, he's had an awesome time. Now, he got signed to the Pacers for 9 games. The Pacers waived him, and then it was a non-guaranteed deal, so it was really no loss for them. And then in his time with the Westchester Knicks, Brown put up 18.5 points per game, shooting 70% from the field, and getting 13.3 rebounds with 2 blocks per game. I understand it's the G League. I understand the G League doesn't mean much. We've seen Jimmer Fredette go off in the G League and then come to the Knicks and obviously not have it. But Moses Brown is someone who seemingly, when he gets minutes, can fit in and do his thing. It just feels like he can never get over that hump of minutes. Now, it's unclear why, because to me, Moses Brown looks like a very, very solid player. He barely really played with the Pacers in those 9 games, but he averaged 3 points and 1.5 rebounds, which our stats around as good as what Jericho Sims has had in way more minutes. Brown is also a New Yorker, so he might be playing with more motivation on the Knicks. I really want to see the Knicks take a shot at Moses Brown, and there's going to be some ways to do that, and we will talk about that a bit in this video, but we're also going to save that for some later stuff, because I truly do think there's going to become a scenario where the Knicks do end up signing Brown for the rest of the season. It just depends on when Mitch comes back, and if the Knicks end up trading one of Achuwa or Jericho Sims, something that I think is pretty darn likely to happen. Again, not exactly a topic for this video, but we'll probably talk about it a little bit. Moses Brown is a phenomenal player. Now, he barely played with the Pacers, but he showed some comfortability. I mean, against the Wizards, and yes, it's the Wizards, Brown did play well. I mean, he scored under the hoop. It looks like Mitchell Robinson. It looks like a young Mitch, the way he's just easing in there with his thin frame and then just moving through people. There's not a lot of post moves, but he's just finding offensive rebounds. He's finding extra possessions. He's hitting shots in the paint. It's just, there's a lot to like from Moses Brown's game. And I mean, we've seen that time and time again, and these are his offensive highlights. It's not like we're seeing Moses Brown and all the stuff he does defensively, because he is a phenomenal shot blocker. Now, the Pacers decided to go a different direction than Brown, which, yes, is something to think about, considering the Pacers are worse than the Knicks. They're just not even a good team this season. I said they weren't going to be good, by the way, guys. Just to be clear, I did say they were not going to be good and they'd be a playing team. Just wanted to take a victory lap real quick. I guess I could always turn it around real fast, but whatever. Look, if the Pacers are a team that is trying to get back into contention after they kind of went all in after their Eastern Conference Finals appearance, we're going to see some concern here, because why did Brown get waived? It's worrisome. At the same time, I do think the Knicks should explore using Moses Brown, especially with there being a lot of questions about the Knicks' rim protection, Mitchell Robinson's return, and the fact that Brown rebounds the ball incredibly well, and the Knicks don't have rebounding. I mean, this month, Karl-Anthony Towns is averaging 17.7 offensive rebounds per game. Yes, that is 17.7 rebounds per game. Karl Anthony Towns has been an absolute monster on the boards, but no one else in the Knicks has really been doing a lot. Josh Hart has been helpful, don't get me wrong, but it's really just been Karl Anthony Towns' world that we're living in right now on the rebounds, and no one else is doing anything on the boards, and it's clearly problematic for the Knicks. So getting Brown could be a lot of help, but it also all depends on one man and when and how he comes back. Mitchell Robinson. Look, Mitch is a phenomenal player for the New York Knicks, and he solves most of their problems as he solves the rebounding and rim protection problem better than anyone else can. However, it's just a question of when he's going to come back, how healthy he's going to be, and if the Knicks are even going to keep him. Now, as mentioned by Jake Fisher via Yardbarker, the Knicks, they've been poking around for a while, particularly when it comes to the big man rotation. Whether it's another rim protector just for insurance behind Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks seem pretty intent on addressing that need. So that's where Brown comes into play. It's where Mitchell Robinson's health comes into play. And Stephen Bondy raised a question saying that center remains the obvious hole for the New York Knicks, and the Knicks are still waiting for the return of Mitch, but there are hardly guarantees that he either comes back at all or stays healthy long enough to erase the problem. Now, I've talked about this before on this channel. There was genuine concern that Mitch's career got ended when Joel Embiid pulled his foot down because of the extent of the stress fracture injury. Playing on the injury, Joel Embiid made it much worse. Had Embiid not hurt Mitch, Mitch would be playing right now. It's just completely disgusting what Joel Embiid did, but we've seen there's a 5-minute highlight clip of him injuring people, so I'm not going to count the stepping on Grant Williams' head because Embiid went right up to him and apologized, but there's no doubt in my mind that Joel Embiid is a dirty player, and he caused this injury, and I know I sound mad about it, but I just find it disgusting that 76ers fans complain so much about how Knicks fans suck, and their best player literally almost, and maybe still did, end the career of Mitchell Robinson, or change the career of Mitchell Robinson. And so Joel Embiid's clearly disgusting, but there's nothing you could do about that. That happened, it's over. Mitchell Robinson is still working his way back, and Shams notified the world that the best case scenario now is looking like late January, if not February. Mitch's return has been, remember, it was supposed to be the middle of December at first, then got pushed to January very quickly after that, and now it's gotten pushed to the late part of January or the early part of February. The NBA trade deadline is February 6th. The Knicks can't wait around and decide, okay, well, if Mitch comes back on February 2nd, we'll know if we have enough big men. We're not going to know. 4 days is not enough time. You literally need a month of Mitchell Robinson before you understand what's going to happen. The man's coming off 2 foot surgeries. He's going to be slow when he comes back. He's not going to be acclimated. He's going to be on a minutes restriction. There's not going to be enough evidence of if the Knicks have enough help at the center position once Mitchell Robinson comes back. So the Knicks are going to have to make a decision based off if they want the insurance or if they genuinely want to make a call with Mitchell Robinson. Now, there's a world where they trade him now. As I've said, that world is not one we live in. The Knicks are going to trade Mitchell Robinson. It's probably going to be over the offseason. If not, it's going to be during the next season because the Knicks are not going to trade him until Mitch is an expiring contract, especially because how good Mitchell Robinson has been for the team. However, it just comes to the fact that they're just not going to re-sign him in 2026. That's why they're slowly grinding Ariel Hukporti so they can make sure they can sign him to a bargain contract before he becomes the backup center next year. They're probably going to look at big men in the draft. Also, big man is the one problem for the Knicks. It's big men and a backup forward. So the Knicks are looking at a scenario where regardless of what happens with Mitchell Robinson, he's probably not in Leon Rose's future plans, as he's the one player on the New York Knicks that Leon Rose did not acquire himself. So Mitch is most likely going to get moved at some point, but I do not see it being before this trade deadline, especially because how low his value is going to be with him being injured and no one really knowing how the guy is going to come back. I think Mitch is going to come back and be fine. There's a world where he doesn't come back, or he doesn't come back the same player. I trust that Mitchell Robinson will be able to get back. When you're a freak athlete like that, you're already a physical anomaly. I do trust in Mitch. I trust in the Knicks training staff. But the Knicks are going to have to make a call depending on what they want to do. It's probably going to involve trading Jericho Sims and or Precious Achuwa for a true big man. I still think a trade that makes sense is you trade Precious Achuwa for Nick Richards. If the Hornets want a second-round pick or two, so be it. Who cares? You do it. You get it done. You get a true center, Nick Richards. You have him for 2 years. You can either flip him again, or you could just use him because he's a very good player. He's also a New Yorker, so maybe I'm biased towards that being a New Yorker. But New Yorkers tend to play harder on the Knicks. Most people play harder for their hometown team. But the Knicks, it's such a basketball city for a city that hasn't had a ton of good basketball, because the Nets play in New Jersey or Brooklyn. It's who cares? No one cares about the Nets. So there's one basketball team in New York, and it's the Knicks. And with the way that the Knicks have not had the greatest history over the last 20-something years, it's incredible how hard this team's been a basketball city. So people play harder here because they want to be part of the Knicks team that is back to glory. Now, the Knicks are back as a good team, but they still do need another piece or two. This team, this roster, is probably not going to win an NBA championship. They're probably going to need one more piece. And I'm not saying it has to be a big piece. I mean, they need like a role player. They need someone off the bench. They need a big man off the bench who's going to be consistent. And if it's not Mitchell Robinson, Leon Rose is going to have to figure out who that guy is. Now, we know Leon's doing his due diligence, and there's guys like Vucevic who the Knicks are not going to get because he can't play defense. Guys like Jonas Valanciunas, who we know the Knicks are not going to get because he can't play defense. Also, the contracts. Nick Richards seems like a realistic option. Jazz aren't trading Walker Kessler. They've already come out and said that. I think it's Nick Richards. I really do think the Knicks are going to move for him. He's been rumored to the Knicks 2 different times now. We saw that with OG Anunoby. We saw that with Mikal. Rumors are there. They go away. Rumors come back. They go away. Team trades for them. It's happened with OG. It's happened with Mikal. I think it'll happen with Nick Richards. The Knicks do have interest in him, and Precious Achuwa is on an expiring deal. One the Knicks probably won't re-sign him to anyway because they won't really have room for him on a 9-man rotation. So they're most likely going to trade Precious for Nick Richards if you ask me. Maybe I've just talked myself into it, but I truly believe that. So we're going to see how the Knicks go about this, and we are going to do a little bit of a breakdown on more center trade targets. But as of right now, where we stand with the New York Knicks, we are going to see a lot of things happen. But I do think that a quick little fix, especially if you move Jericho Sims with Precious Achuwa, is to go out there and you sign Moses Brown, because that's going to be helpful also. Gives you more big man depth. Gives you a guy who can get a bunch of rebounds on the offensive and defensive end and block some shots. Great Mitchell Robinson insurance, even if you do want to get another big man. Then you get another forward, or you just sign Landry Shamet, and then you just waive Moses Brown, who will probably be on a non-guaranteed deal. So the Knicks can waive him, go into the buyout market, and sign a forward. Maybe a Marcus Morris, maybe TJ Warren, who's not exactly a buyout guy, but, you know, he'll still be a guy with interest because how well he's playing in the G League. But guys, let me know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Let's kill this week. Go Knicks.